I'm Alan.
What are some things that buyers should know? What are some things that us as professionals should kind of put in front of them to consider as a way of formulating a plan to buy the right house?
Yeah, I think buyers really need to have an awareness around budget. I think that's
Yes.
hyper important, right? We find
How's this cost money?
right. Well, and we find in our industry, most people shop at the very tippy top of the budget,
Hmm.
right? And then don't have. They might be what we call house poor, right? Where you get the house and then you're in there, you're struggling to make the mortgage each month. There's no money left for repairs, things like that. That is not an ideal situation,
Sure.
especially in this market,
Well, and I think it's lack of understanding how the financing works,
right?
because they'll sit down with a lender. Don't fault the lender at all. The lender says you qualify for this.
Sure.
Um, and what they often don't get to is like there's a associated payment
Mhm.
with that qualification.
Right.
Because a lender and based off certain loan types, you could go up to 50% of your income
Mhm.
on a monthly basis, minus any debt that you have,
Mhm.
and they'll allow you to put half of what you got every month into a house,
Right.
and that may not be the right move.
Well, and there's costs I don't see many agents talking about, right? Taxes, repairs, things like that, that are still variable once you purchase the home,
Yeah.
right? So your payment may go up, albeit slightly,
Sure.
but if you're running a tight budget, that's important.
Yeah. Well, I mean, when it comes to insurance, especially here in California, I know I'm up 43% in my insurance costs. I also 22% in my energy costs.
Right? Utilities are higher,
Yeah.
cost of living is higher. Those
Sure.
are things you want to factor in when you're thinking about living in your home,
Yes.
right? Because it's not this financial instrument to get rich quick, right? It's really a way for long-term wealth.
Mhm.
And we see that in the data. Folks that own a home, much more net worth over
Absolutely.
time, right?
Well,
than
and
folks
that was
that
and
don't.
that was the dream, right? The baby boomers made out,
Mhm.
right? Came back World War II, parents had kids, and then they were taught you want to own your home, American dream,
Yep.
right? And now we see a bunch of people talking, no, you don't want to own a home, you want to rent, or you want to do this with that money,
Sure. Your first home should be an investment home, right? That's
Yeah.
kind of what you see in social media
Right.
and that.
Well, and I don't think that enough industry professionals are kind of couching the conversation with the buyer the right way to walk them into, really what does this look like?
It can be transactional
Mhm.
for some folks instead of like a long-term outlook for what the best interest is for
Yeah.
the person. It's
Well,
a
I
person.
mean, and no shade on the industry
Right.
at all. The majority of agents don't actually own a property.
Right.
So they need to actually educate themselves into what does that feel like? What does it look like? What is it long term?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's interesting to see kind of the outlook from the consumer side and then the agent side, because agents might see it as transactional, right?
Mhm.
And they might expect a buyer to just know many of these things. What can you afford? Great. And it isn't a conversation further
Yeah,
than
how many
that.
bedrooms?
Right.
What
Why
city?
can you afford that?
Right.
Or how does that
Yeah.
look next year and the year after that? The financial component, would you say that that's one of the first pieces of the puzzle to get right when you're a buyer?
Yeah, so you're trying to match the number it's going to cost every month, and then what does that give you,
Right.
right? What type of property do you need? And then that it's funny, it'll show you, okay, here's the neighborhoods that match that budget and that type of property.
Right. Yeah. We typically have a conversation with a buyer, at least I do. We can probably get two out of the three most important things to you,
Mhm.
right? Either the amenities, right? The location or the price. So we might get price and location, but it might not have that extra room that you want or the perfect garage.
Sure.
We can get you the location and everything that you want, a spa and, all that stuff.
Sunset views of the mountains.
It might be a little bit more than you can afford, right? So it's typically two of those three things. And that's
I
really
like
a great
that.
way
Yeah.
to look at buying, because it's probably going to be a compromise,
No, I like that because for me, it's always a top 10 list,
right?
right? Which allows me to better understand really what the client is looking for,
Sure.
or really where their head's at. And it's like three or four things are we have to have these things.
Sure.
It's got to be in this school district, has to be in this price range. It needs to have 3 bedrooms.
Yeah.
And then there's like 3 I'd like to have.
Mm-hmm.
okay, I want a remodel kitchen open to the living room. I'd love to have this view, right? And then there's 3 wishes. It'd be really nice if it had a helicopter pad.
Sure.
It'd be really great if it had an infinity edge pool, or something unique, or RV parking, right? Even though we don't have an RV, it'd be nice. One day I might want one.
Right.
And then if I tell them, like, if you get 6 or 7 of those top 10 and all the top 3, like you mentioned, you're good to go. Like,
Yeah.
that's probably the right house.
That's a great way to look at it. I love to also say, hey, what are the deal breakers, right? What's an absolute no, right? I'm not going to live by the train tracks, right? We will not be in an HOA, right? Things like that. Those are important to understand moving forward with a buyer, right, as well. Not just for us to understand and be able to cater and kind of tailor properties that we're showing you, make it more efficient so you're not just looking at 100 properties like we are every day. Those are the things that help us kind of dial in the criteria and really make the process much more efficient. Right? Everyone nowadays is looking on Zillow and kind of doing a lot of the work that agents used to do, but it's not efficient. Right? I'm really good at dialing in what a buyer wants and needs and catering the listings to that.
You're hitting on the right point, right? So I think so many agents are like, I just need to show them the right home.
Right.
And it's like, oh, I'm going to dangle this carrot, and I saw this one pop up. And they actually look for homes the way their buyers are looking.
Sure.
Late at night on Zillow, scrolling through. Right?
I think this one looks pretty.
Yeah.
Right.
Instead of, and what you're talking about is like, okay, before we get distracted by the marketplace, let's come up with a plan.
Right.
Let's provide some education so we understand what we're looking for, so that when we find it, we know that that's the right one.
Yeah. Have you ever made the mistake of going to the grocery store hungry?
Sure.
Right. That's a big mistake, right? It's huge. For me, it's detrimental to my life, right? Especially if I'm trying to be lean and fit, knowing, hey, here's my list of what I'm going in. I'm in and out of that grocery store in 35 minutes, might grab one of those roasted chickens, right? It's up
Well,
there.
it's hilarious you said that, because I was at the market 2 days ago and I ran into a friend, and she was distracted on her phone, and I kind of just walked up, was like, hey, how are you? And we ended up, having a talk, and she's like, I didn't come in with a list. And I'm like, wait, did you come in hungry? She's like, I'm hungry too. And I'm like, I got to let you go because you're going to be here for 30 minutes and I'm in and out.
Well, and, in the real estate market, you can't just open something up and start eating it like I do in the grocery store. In the real estate market, you should be ready to attack, right? Know exactly what you want, know the areas you want. All of that work can be done first. You want to have your finances in place so that when you do find that perfect property, you strike.
Exactly.
Right? You don't want to miss one. And I see so many buyers and agents out here doing kind of that play, which is, hey, I'm just going to show you 1,000 homes until you say yes to one.
Right.
Oftentimes when you say yes, it's like, okay, now we're starting the process. Now you're going to get a loan, and now you're going to decide, what amenities are right for your family. It just doesn't work out well. It's not efficient, and it doesn't serve the client well.
Yeah. No, it's game plan before going to battle. I mean, that's how you would attack anything else in life.
So it's understanding the financial component, right? And then it's understanding the needs, really, the wants and needs of the client, right, of the consumer. Awareness around that is kind of the first 2 steps. Where does it go from there?
Well, and one of the things that you do a really good job of is you ask the questions that need to be asked up front. Right?
Sure.
I think a lot of people are, well, what if they say no?
Right.
And it's like, that's actually a good thing. Let's find out all the things that you're a no to, so that when we are a yes to something, we know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
And I applaud you for asking those questions, because sometimes it comes out of your mouth and I'm like, oh man, I hope they don't say, right? But at the same time, every time, regardless of what they say, it gives us more information. It brings us closer to understanding that person so that we can serve them.
I'm a firm believer in bad news slow is worse than bad news, right? And not that you're delivering bad news, but Alan, I don't want to waste my client's time and not ask the tough questions up front and present false hope or waste time, and then be later on in the process and find out, hey, this just isn't going to work. And I think many agents shy away from that, especially in this market with sellers. We're really seeing folks not have that tough conversation of, hey, here's what the data shows your home is worth. And if you're, way out of that kind of boundary.
My home's better.
Right. It's just it's not a great way to list your home, right? You don't want to be on the market overpriced. It's the worst thing you can do for a seller. And I see so many agents nowadays that are just unwilling to have that tough conversation up front.
Yeah.
And it's costing not just the agent, but it's costing the clients as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and having been in this industry for 17 years, I've seen different markets.
Right.
Right. I was like licensed '07, sky is falling, worst thing ever. And so I have a little bit of perspective around that. Having to have the conversation needs to be had. Right? So many agents are like, I just want them to say yes, and then I'm going to trust that it's going to work out, and they're going to do what they say they're going to do. Yeah, 100%. Instead of like, well, okay, now that you think you're a yes, what if this happens? What if that happens?
Right.
And if you can probably likely expect X, Y, or Z to occur, and when those hurdles show up, this is how we're going to handle it. Is that something you're comfortable with? That's a way better yes than just, I think I want to buy a home or I think I want to sell one.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head when you said 80% of agents have been licensed in like under 6 years.
Sure.
It's that experience. It only takes a few times of you letting someone down or,
Sure.
finding out late in the transaction that, it's not going to happen to realize, like, listen, I've got to do the right thing early. I've got to be good and know what I'm talking about early on, or I'm just wasting time, and it's really inefficient and hurts the market.